multiple things outside of that cleared this turn. It's just the very obvious ones. And so just takes a very decisive game number one. Even in the face of a lightning storm there, pretty convincingly wins that one. I mean, forced a Hex with Sea Giant, let his Knife Juggler die, and then still won the game. Just kind of on easy. He had life tap going afterwards on that. I mean, Just Saying needed a lot of things to go right to recover from that board position.
Such a weird deck. Like, what is that deck in there to beat?
I think it's there to just not beat the aggro decks, is what I think.
Just not beat it's there to lose to a lot of the decks that are there right now.
Well, I imagine it beats Cthulhu Druid pretty darn well.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's just ultimate late game control with a lot of removal. I mean, you only have 2 hexes, though. That's the thing. Does it really go that wide to where you can make favorable trades and get timely hexes? Well, we'll definitely have to see. I can see that matchup definitely being possible as this game goes on. Unless Chalky's able to take a win right here with Cthulhu Druid against Zoo. It is dependent on having that early game, but he does. He's got Disciple of Cthulhu. He does have the Swipe, which are both key cards in being able to stifle this early game.
Yeah, we'll see how he chooses to tackle this board. And Just Saying, kind of not really any option to do anything other than ignore this. Chalky can just clear the whole board down, which I imagine is what he's going to do. That'll roll into Disciple of Cthulhu, maybe. He's just going to Disciple of Cthulhu and take the lead. So understanding that the board pressure really means a lot in this situation. Now, Councilman is a card he doesn't have checked at the moment, which is exactly what Saiyin's got in his hand. And it's certainly a fantastic play right here. And Chalky's turn 3 is actually just dead. So if he doesn't pick up an Innervate or a Wrath, he's not really getting the job done. And Just Saying, I'm likely he's very patient with the Knife Juggler here. Do not risk that dying. And second Disciple of Cthulhu gets picked up. That's perfect to clear this out.
Yeah. I was going to say, there is a chance that he could just, even if he didn't pick anything up, he could trade in and hero power down the Councilman to try and make it vulnerable to swipe next turn. Something along those lines. But picking up that second Disciple of Cthulhu is huge, because now not only did he get to that early game, but now he has that sort of plus 10 Cthulhu out of the way. He has the 10-10 Cthulhu out of the way. So if he does draw into Twin Eps, he has that activated without having to worry about it. Same with Klaxi Amberweaver, even though that's not as important in this matchup, because playing one big 4-10 a lot of times can be slow. You need stuff that reacts, that is challenges the board instantaneously.
Yeah, and you might be looking at that trade from Chalky and thinking that's really peculiar, but it accomplishes 2 things here. Number 1, it makes sure that the Councilman runs into Fandral and it's actually going to die. Number 2, in the event that Fandral gets run over by Power Overwhelming, it sets up Councilman to be vulnerable to swipe here. So really good catch from Chalky to just go ahead and sacrifice the 2-1. It's already done its job, and now it's kind of working towards your overall game plan when you decide to make that trade. So really like that he caught that.
Oh, but look at this. Soulfire, if he's okay with giving up this Dark Iron Dwarf, he can pick up this Soulfire. Ooh, I guess he's not okay with it. Huh. Soulfire would have been a pretty clean trade onto the Fandral while preserving the, like, being just Soulfire and then trade in. But I guess he values that Dark Iron Dwarf. He doesn't want that discarded.
Yeah, I kind of like this play a lot more from Just Saying as well. The fact that if Chalky decided to swipe this turn, it's a pretty dead swipe. And so knows the 2-1 is likely to get value here. If Chalky decides to hero power the 2-1, it means he's not developing anything. So kind of just relegated to playing a 5-drop and hoping to get the most of it. That gives Just Saying the opportunity to actually use this 2-1 now and continue to trade up the curve and move the way that Zoo wants to often do, which is just continue to build this state over and over again. Now, Chalky happens to have Blood Mage swipe on this. So this actually works perfectly for Chalky. Does take a little bit of damage here and leaves behind a 1-1. But that's a pretty darn good deal, considering that this is the board state where you normally lose to Zoo when Druid doesn't have a way to get out of this.
Especially since the reload from Just Saying probably won't be that large, and he's got Dark Arakoa to follow that up. So even cards like Sylvanas can be pretty good to play on a board that's not that powerful, because it allows you to have that ability to get full clears a lot more easily as the game progresses. But I think this is... I mean, what is he thinking about here? And I would think that Blood Mage Soundhouse plus swipe would be pretty automatic, but is he debating whether or not he should try and hero power? Is Blood Mage going to be more valuable to something else as this game goes on? Is there something else to think about?
Well, like you mentioned, I think the Sylvanas is the debate here. and actually feels comfortable dropping the Sylvanas, which I'm a little bit surprised with because the Blood Mage swipe is just so good right here. And so now, actually some liability to get punished in this spot. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 damage available from Sand. I think this was an unnecessary risk by Chalky, and frankly just a mistake. I mean, this is like the one board state where you don't want Zoo to be pulling ahead. And all that would have happened was Chalky would have had a 1-1 Blood Mage versus a 1-1 Possessed Villager. He would have effectively prevented all this damage, and now instead he's staring down this board, which is looking almost unrecoverable from this state.
Well, he can Blood Mage swipe now, and also, I mean, he could like Blood Mage swipe on the Void Walker and then trade into the Dark Iron Dwarf to steal either the Abyss Sergeant or the 1-1, but he'd be left in the same spot that he would have last turn with a Blood Mage Thanos on his board and a 1-1 on his opponent's without a Sylvanas. Minus 10 life. So, yeah, it's really interesting choice. Like, even if that same outcome occurred and he was able to steal something more impactful for Sylvanas, is that worth taking that much damage in order to accomplish the same thing?
I personally don't think so. And now at this point, just saying does have some draws for lethal here. That's not one of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. He's 1 damage off lethal. I mean, you got to tap here for it. And you can even see him smile and laugh about it. It picks up the power overwhelming, and that's going to be the punish. Just Saying's going to get on the board here. I think this was way too greedy from Chalky to drop that Sylvanas on turn 6. This was a very clean Blood Mage swipe. I'd really like to hear what his thought process was on that, because Chalky, you do not see this guy misstep rarely ever. And so if he's playing that Sylvanas, he has some sort of plan in mind. I'm just curious exactly what it is, because in that spot, I personally am going for the Blood Mage swipe every single time.
Yeah, it seemed like a bold call. And I was expecting him to just sort of think about it for a while and, maybe feign other options and then go for it. But no matter what you do in that situation, like Blood Mage swipe, as soon as you see that that's a possibility, you're like, oh, that's an automatic play. Like, well, there's no reason why you wouldn't make it. But interesting choice to go for it. And he does pay the price of a game lost. So now we're going to go into game number 3 with it all tied up. And we're going to get to see this matchup, which